My husband's monthly salary is 30,000 yuan, but he has to be on a strict par with me, who earns 8,000 yuan a month. I agreed. The next day, he brought his parents-in-law and sister-in-law to live there for a long time, saying that he would be responsible for his family's expenses. I smiled and nodded, and I only cooked for myself that night. A week later, my husband came home from get off work. Looking at the living room with piles of garbage, my parents and sister eating instant noodles, and me applying a facial mask in the clean and tidy bedroom, he froze. I took off my mask and handed him a bill. Your family's water, electricity, gas, and property management fees totaled 500 this week. Please settle the bill. 01. Today is our wedding anniversary. Outside the window was the gentle evening breeze of the city. On the table was a medium-rare steak fried by Shunze himself, and the beautiful light was swaying in the red wine glass. Everything is as beautiful as a well-choreographed drama. Until Shunze wiped his mouth with a napkin and said to me in a business-like tone, Xiaowan, there is something I want to talk to you about. My heart skipped a beat, but I still maintained a gentle smile on my face. What is it, so serious? I think that for our future financial planning to be clearer and to maintain our independence, we will implement a strict AA system starting next month. He spoke at a steady pace and with appropriate words, as if he was explaining a project plan rather than tearing up a marriage contract. The last bit of romance in the air was instantly drained and frozen into ice. My fingers holding the knife and fork turned slightly white, and there was a buzz in my head. I recalled that before we got married, he held my hand and said proudly, Xiaowan, if you marry me, my money will be your money from now on. I will be responsible for making money to support the family, and you will be responsible for looking beautiful. The oath is still ringing in my ears, but the person who uttered the oath has changed his face. I looked at him. This IT project manager with a monthly salary of 30,000 yuan wanted to discuss a strict AA system with me, a data analyst with a monthly salary of 8,000 yuan. How ironic. My heart is getting colder inch by inch, like being immersed in an ice cellar. But I didn't cry, didn't make a fuss, and didn't question anything. I just looked at him quietly until he felt a little uncomfortable when I looked at him and his eyes began to dodge. What do you think? This is also for our own good, to avoid quarrels over money in the future. He added, trying to find a noble excuse for his selfishness. I slowly put down the knife and fork, making a slight clinking sound. Okowa. I calmly uttered 2 words. Shunze was obviously stunned, probably because he didn't expect me to agree so simply. The whole list of words he had prepared was stuck in his throat. There was a look of satisfaction on his face, as if he was praising my sensibleness. However, I changed the topic. Since it is strictly AA, the rules must be clearly defined. I stood up, took some paper and pen from the study, and put them in front of him. You say it, and I'll remember it. Under Shunze's stunned eyes, I recorded it one by one with a rigorous attitude toward work. For the mortgage, we will buy it together before we get married. He will pay 300,000 yuan for the down payment, and I will pay 100,000 yuan. The loan will be shared in proportion to the monthly salary. That's okay. Water, electricity, gas, property fees, and internet fees are shared equally per person. Currently, for 2 people, each person gets half, which is fine. For daily purchases, including food ingredients and daily necessities, you can buy your own, or you can keep accounts and settle the accounts at the end of the month. Every time I wrote down one, I looked up at him, my eyes so calm that it made him panic. He probably thought I would be hysterical and accuse him of being ruthless, but all he saw was a calm partner who was ready to execute the new contract. After the rules were formulated, I pushed the densely written piece of paper in front of him. Look at it. If you have no problem, just sign it. It will be in duplicate. Each of us will keep 1 copy. Shunze looked at the black and white words on the piece of paper with a complicated expression on his face and finally signed his name. At this moment, I knew that my marriage was dead. Died on this so-called wedding anniversary. The next day was Saturday, and I was still sleeping in the bedroom when I was woken up by the noise coming from the living room. I frowned and walked out. The sight in front of me made me wake up instantly. There were 3 large suitcases stacked at the entrance, and a middle-aged woman wearing a floral shirt was directing a young girl to stuff various local products into the refrigerator. It's my mother-in-law Lu Yafan and sister-in-law Shen Yao. And my husband, Shunze, was tapping the shoulders of another middle-aged man, my father-in-law, with a smile on his face. They came without even saying hello to me in advance. Like a group of invaders, they openly occupied my home. When Shunze saw me, as if he had just remembered something, he walked over and said, Oh, Xiaowan, I forgot to tell you. My parents and Xiao Rao are coming to stay for a while, so the house will be lively. I looked at him and said nothing. He seemed to notice my displeasure and immediately added another sentence in an understatement, a sentence that made me fully understand the real purpose behind the AA system, drama last night. Don't worry, I will be responsible for all their expenses while living here, and they will not be included in our AA. I see. Yesterday's AA system was just a prelude. The real purpose is to allow him to feel at ease and let his whole family absorb my flesh and blood without any burden. I looked at the scene of their family before enjoying themselves, and I felt like an unnecessary outsider. My heart completely sank to the bottom. I didn't have the seizure they expected, and I didn't even show any signs of displeasure. I just smiled and nodded and said, Okay, there's so many people, and it's so lively. They were all relieved by my compliance. Mother-in-law Lu Yafan had a proud smile on her face, as if to say, Look, this woman is so easy to handle. That night, I came home from get off work. My mother-in-law was lying on the sofa, eating melon seeds and watching TV, and vomited the melon seed peels all over the floor. Sister-in-law Shen Yao was playing games with headphones on and scolding her teammates. The kitchen was cold, and there was no smoke at all. When Lu Yafan saw me coming back, she spoke like a servant. Xiaowan is back. Go and cook. Azay is about to get off work, and I'm waiting for you. I put on my shoes and headed straight to the kitchen. They thought I would put on my apron and prepare a sumptuous dinner for their family as usual. I did wear an apron. Then I took out the prime sirloin steak from the refrigerator, served it with fresh asparagus and cherry tomatoes, and opened another expensive bottle of Perrier. I made myself a fancy steak salad, beautifully presented and full of aroma. Only made for one person. I took my dinner, sat down at the dining table, and started enjoying it as if no one else was around. The sound of the TV and games in the living room stopped. 3 pairs of eyes were all staring at me. Lu Yafan finally couldn't help it anymore. She walked to the dining table, knocked on the table, and said in a bad tone, "Linwan, what do you mean? We are all still hungry. Why do you only do it for you?" I slowly cut off a small piece of steak, put it in my mouth, chewed it carefully, and then raised my head and gave her a perfect smile. "Mom, have you forgotten? Shunze just told me yesterday that the AA system must be strictly implemented, so I am only responsible for my own part." I paused, glanced at her and Xin Yao's astonished faces, and continued. "Moreover, he also said that he will be responsible for the expenses of you, Dad, and Xiao Yao. Therefore, he should naturally be responsible for your dinner." The whole family was in dead silence. In the next week, I will implement the character of AA system executor to the end. I only wash my own clothes, and there are always only a few thin items of clothing in the washing machine. I turned a blind eye to their piles of dirty clothes and the smell of rancidity in the bathroom. I only clean my bedroom and keep both spaces spotless. In the living room and dining room, which are public areas, there is more and more garbage every day. Takeout boxes, snack bags, and peel and paper scraps are like a disaster scene swept by a tornado. I bought flowers that I liked and put them on the bedside of my bedroom. I bought high-quality coffee beans and brewed a cup for myself in the study room. This home is divided into 2 worlds by me with an invisible line. One is my world that is clean, tidy, and full of quality of life. The other is their dirty, chaotic, and smoky world. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law were initially shocked, then angry, and then started to criticize me. "Oh, you are such a noble person. You don't even sweep the floor, and you are not afraid of tripping over garbage when you go out." Some people just have no conscience. They read the book Into the Dog's Belly and don't even know how to be filial to their parents-in-law. Shen Yao was even more direct. She deliberately spilled Coca-Cola on my newly cleaned study door several times. I ignored it. I just put on noise-canceling headphones while they were yelling and cursing and continued to read my book and do my data analysis. Because Shinze was busy with projects, he went out early and came back late every day, so he did not immediately notice the drastic changes in his family environment. All he knew was that there was always instant noodles or takeout to eat when he got home. Although he complained a few times, his mother always put him off by saying, "Shaowan is also tired. We can solve it ourselves." He thought this was only temporary. Until a week later on Friday, the project he was responsible for ended early, and he returned home at 5 p.m. The moment he opened the door, he was completely stunned. The shoes in the entrance were staggered here and there, and there was almost no place to step on. The coffee table in the living room was piled with instant noodle buckets and takeout boxes, exuding a mixed smell of rancidity. On the sofa were his mother and his sister, each holding a bowl of instant noodles, smoking them deliciously. The entire living room is like a lair occupied by garbage monsters. In stark contrast to this mess is the clean and tidy corridor leading to the master bedroom, as well as the closed door. He pushed open the bedroom door in disbelief. A fresh scent of aromatherapy hits your face. The room was sparkling clean, with soft carpets on the floor and a new 4-piece set on the bed. And I was wearing a silk nightgown, lying leisurely on the bed, applying a facial mask, and listening to soothing music. He stood at the door and looked at the garbage-strewn living room, at his parents and sister eating instant noodles, and then at me wearing a facial mask in the clean and tidy bedroom. His expression went from shock to confusion to anger and finally turned into livid. I slowly sat up and took off the mask on my face, revealing smooth and moist skin. Then I picked up a piece of paper from the bedside table and handed it to him. "Husband, are you back?" My tone was relaxed and cheerful, as if nothing had happened. He took the paper stiffly. "That's a bill. The above uses my rigorous data analysis to clearly list various public expenditures this week. This week's property management fee is 120 yuan, water fee is 85.6 yuan, gas fee is 63.2 yuan, and public area electricity fee is 131.2 yuan, totaling 400 yuan. Based on the fact that 4 people in the family, you, your dad, your mom, your sister, and 1 person, me, live in the house, you should bear 4/5 of the total cost, which is 320 yuan. In addition, the garbage in public areas produced by your family this week is expected to incur excess garbage disposal fees according to the XX City Garbage Classification Management Regulations. Considering family harmony, I will kindly handle it on your behalf and charge a labor fee of 180 yuan. Total, 500 yuan. Please settle the payment. Transfer via WeChat or Alipay is supported." I even attached a detailed calculation formula and charging basis below the bill. Shunze held the piece of paper, his hands shaking slightly. His face alternated between blue and white, as wonderful as a palette. He finally understood that I wasn't kidding. I was using the rules he set to declare war on him. Bureau 2. Linwan, what on earth do you want to do? Shunze's roar finally broke the strange calm of the week. He slammed the bill onto my dresser, his chest heaving violently. What did I do? I stood up slowly and looked directly at his face that was twisted with anger. I didn't do anything. I was just strictly abiding by the agreement we signed. Agreement? He seemed to have heard a big joke. When I ask you to be AA, do I ask you to turn your home into a garbage dump? Do I ask you to do this to my parents and my sister? Do you still have any sense of family? Are you cold-blooded or not? A barrage of accusations shot at me like bullets. In the past, I might have felt wronged, heartbroken, and tried to explain. But now, my heart has already dropped cold at that anniversary dinner. Shinze, you are mistaken. First, this home will become a garbage dump, not because I don't clean it, but because the 3 guests you invited only create garbage and are not responsible for cleaning it. Second, you said it yourself, you are responsible for them. I respect your decision, so I did not interfere with your scope of responsibility. Third, family values. I sneered, not loudly, but every word was heartbreaking. A man who treats his wife as an outsider and has to use the AA system to be on guard at all times, what qualifications does he have to talk to me about family values? From the moment you proposed AA, we are no longer family members, but just partners who share a house. You made the rules yourself, and I am just the most loyal enforcer of the rules. How can you turn around and accuse me of being careless? Shunze was silenced by me, and his face turned the color of pig liver. Lu Yafin and Xin Yao in the living room heard the quarrel and gathered around. When Lu Yafin saw that her son was deflated, she immediately got into drama and started her performance while wiping away non-existent tears. Oh, it's all my fault. It's all our country people's fault for not knowing the rules and causing trouble for you. A's, how could you talk to Xiaowan like this? Xiaowan works hard too. It's our fault. We shouldn't have come. She said words of self-blame, but her eyes kept glancing at Shunze. The meaning was obvious. Look what your wife has forced your mother to do. One family doesn't speak the same language. Xiaowan, please be generous and don't argue with your mother. We will. I interrupted her without waiting for her to finish. Mom, don't get me wrong. I'm not targeting you. I'm just abiding by the agreement between Shunze and I. The 500 yuan is what Shunze should pay as the responsible person, and it has nothing to do with you. I emphasized the word responsible person very seriously. Lu Yafin's crying stopped suddenly, and her face turned blue and white. Under the gaze of his mother and sister, Shunze's face burned. He finally lost the battle and reluctantly transferred 500 yuan to me from his mobile phone. There was a ding sound and the transfer arrived. I picked up the phone and took a look at it, then smiled at him. It's a pleasure to work with you. That quarrel ended in my victory. But I know this is just the beginning. Shunze couldn't swallow this breath. That night, he began his revenge. After finishing the takeaway, he did not throw it on the coffee table as usual, but deliberately piled it at my closed bedroom door. The greasy soup flowed out of the plastic bag and formed a disgusting stain on the floor. He deliberately turned the TV on as loud as possible until late at night. The next morning, I found that most of the facial cleanser I put on the sink had been used. In the trash can in the bathroom, there was an empty pipe that had been trampled to pieces. It was my sister-in-law Xin Yao who did it. I even saw her walking around the living room wearing the slippers I left at the door. The soles of her shoes were covered with dirt, leaving gray footprints. I didn't say anything. No features, no arguments. I just quietly ordered a new fingerprint lock online. That afternoon, the installation master came to my door. Within half an hour, there was a shiny metallic fingerprint lock on my bedroom door. I entered my fingerprints and then locked the door with a click in front of the whole family. At that moment, the expressions on Lu Yafin and Xin Yao's faces were even more exciting than the color palette. I also ordered a small refrigerator and a multifunction electric cooker online and put them all in my bedroom. From then on, my room became an independent kingdom. I have my own food, my own living space, and all the chaos and filth outside has nothing to do with me. I implemented the AA system from the financial level to the physical space level. Seeing that her plan failed, Lu Yafin made another plan. She started spreading rumors in the neighborhood. Every afternoon, she would appear on time in the garden of the community to cry to the uncles and aunties. There are several versions. Sometimes they say that my daughter-in-law dislikes that they are from the countryside and does not let them eat on the table, forcing them to eat instant noodles every day. Sometimes they say that I mistreat them, throwing their clothes on the ground in the middle of winter and not washing them. Sometimes it's even more outrageous, saying that I scolded her for being old and dying and cursed her to return to the countryside as soon as possible. For a time, rumors spread. When I walk in the community, I can feel the pointing eyes and whispers behind me. Look, it's her who is so mean to my mother-in-law. You look like a human being, but why is your heart so vicious? Finally, Shinzi Yuan's aunt in her hometown, Lu Yafin's biological sister, called. Shinze answered the phone and turned on the speakerphone. My aunt's sharp and mean voice came out of the receiver like an awl. A's, your wife is such a loser. Your mother worked so hard to raise you up, and now she has been living in your house for a few days, and now she is bullying her like this? Not giving her food, not washing her clothes, and cursing her to death. Do you still keep such a woman for the new year? Are you still not a man? Divorce her quickly. An indiscriminate curse resounded throughout the living room. Lu Yafin sat next to me, wiping her tears sadly, while looking at me with provocative eyes. I had no expression on my face the whole time, just looking at Shinze quietly. I want to see what he would say. Will he have a word for me? Even just say, things are not what you think. However, no. Shinze didn't say a word from beginning to end. He just held the phone and allowed his aunt to abuse his wife in the most vicious terms. His silence was a kind of acquiescence. He acquiesced in my crime. He and his mother stood on the same front and pushed me out as a target to calm the family's anger. The phone finally hung up. There was dead silence in the living room. I looked at Shinze, at the man I once loved, and at the cowardly and embarrassed expression on his face. Suddenly, I felt that it was ridiculous. I actually showed him a sneer that contained pity. Yes, mercy. Pity his stupidity, pity his cowardice, pity him being tied up like a puppet by his native family without knowing it. He was stung by my eyes. Why are you laughing? He growled angrily. I'm laughing at you. I put away my smile and said in a cold tone, Shinze, you are so pathetic. After saying that, I turned around and returned to my independent kingdom, leaving him where he was, his face turning red and white. From that moment on, the last bit of affection I had for him completely dissipated. All that's left is gaming. 03. My birthday is in early winter. In previous years, Shenzhe would always prepare surprises for me long in advance. A bouquet of flowers, a romantic dinner, or a gift that I've been thinking about for a long time. This year, there is nothing. From morning to night, he didn't send a message or call. It seems like this day is just an ordinary number on the calendar. My heart has long been numb, and there's not even a wave of expectation. On the contrary, my best friend Meng Jia remembers it better than anyone else. In the afternoon, a large bouquet of bright sunflowers and an exquisite Black Forest cake were delivered to my company on time. On the card was her flying handwriting. Happy birthday to my queen, forever free and always shining. I looked at the warm bouquet of sunflowers, and my heart, which had been cold all day, finally felt a little warm. In the evening, I went home holding the bouquet of flowers. As soon as I opened the door, I smelled a strong aroma of food mixed with the lively laughter of a family. I was stunned for a moment. In the living room, their family of four was sitting around the dining table, which was filled with sumptuous dishes, including braised pork, steamed fish, braised prawns. Sister-in-law Shen Yao is holding up a brand new and latest mobile phone to show off to her parents. Look, my brother bought it for me. He said it was a gift to celebrate my moving to a new home. Doesn't it look good? Lu Yafan smiled from ear to ear. It's so beautiful. My daughter looks good in everything she wears. It's your brother who loves you the most. The whole family is having fun like a warm family picture. And I was the untimely intruder. Lu Yafan, with sharp eyes, was the first to see me. The smile on her face froze for a moment, and then changed to a false enthusiasm. Oh, Shawan is back. Come on, come and eat. It's your birthday today, and we specially celebrated for you. As she said this, she pulled me over and sat down. My eyes fell on the dining table. The plate of steamed fish was sprinkled with green coriander. The plate of braised prawns is red and attractive. As for me, I am severely allergic to seafood. Ever since I was a child, the smell of coriander has made me nauseous. Their whole family knew these two things. There was nothing on the table full of dishes that I could eat, or, in other words, I like to eat. On the contrary, it is Shen Yao's favorite dish, which is equally delicious. Where is this to celebrate my birthday? This was clearly a carnival for them in the name of my birthday. A Hongmen banquet full of malice and humiliation. At this moment, Shenzhe seemed to have woken up from a dream, patting his head with an embarrassed expression on his face. Oops, look at my memory, I forgot. Shawan, I'm sorry. I forgot that you don't eat seafood and coriander. He looked at me and said dryly, how about I order you a takeaway now? Ordering takeout? On my birthday, at what I call a celebration dinner, he asked me to order takeout. I looked at him, his face filled with perfunctory and guilty. I didn't say anything. I turned and walked into the bedroom. When I came out again, I had something more in my hand. It's a watch. That was a birthday gift I bought for him with my first month's salary when I first started working. Not very expensive, but meaningful. He loves it and wears it almost every day. I walked to the dining table and raised the watch in front of the shocked eyes of the family. Then let go. The watch drew a brief arc in the air and fell heavily on the smooth floor tiles. There was a crisp sound of pop. The glass of the dial shattered instantly, like a withered spider web. The pointer also stopped at that moment forever. The whole world seemed to be quiet. I heard my own voice, cold and clear in the dead air. Shenzhe, this watch is the same as your affection for me. Today, it was broken. The whole place was dead silent. Shenzhe's face turned pale as paper in an instant. He stared blankly at the broken watch on the ground, and then looked at me in disbelief. For the first time, he saw such complete determination in my eyes. Lu Yafan and Shen Yao were also frightened, with their mouths open and unable to say a word. I didn't give them a second glance. I turned around calmly, walked back to my room, and locked the door with a click. I put the bouquet of sunflowers sent by Meng Jia into the vase. Then, I took out the Black Forest cake, inserted a candle, and lit it. The dim candlelight reflected my calm face. I was alone, facing the cake, and silently made a wish. Wish me a new life. Outside the door, Shenzhe's frantic knocking and Lu Yafan's sharp yelling finally came. Lin Wan, open the door. Why are you so crazy? This bastard, the god of death. You dare to throw things. You've rebelled against her. I turned a deaf ear. I blew out the candles, cut a piece of cake, and ate it slowly. The cake is so sweet that it makes my eyes sore. I know that from today on, there is no possibility for Shenzhe and I. The tomb of this marriage was completely sealed by my own hands. 04. After breaking the watch, Shenzhe and I entered a complete freezing period. We live under the same roof, but we are strangers. He no longer tried to communicate with me, didn't even bother to argue, and only used endless cold violence to isolate me from his world. He and his family treated me like air. During the meal, they talked loudly and laughed, as if the place I was sitting was just an empty chair. I enjoy the peace and quiet. Without the emotional ties, my mind has become clearer than ever. I started using my professional skills to re-examine our family's finances. A huge doubt appeared in front of me. Shenzhe's monthly salary is 30,000 yuan. After deducting 5 insurances, 1 housing fund and taxes, he gets about 25,000 yuan. For our mortgage, according to the AA agreement, he will bear 7,000 per month. Even if he now has to bear all the living expenses of his parents and sister, including food and drink, daily necessities, and pocket money, 5,000 yuan a month is more than enough. There are at least 13,000 left. Why would a person who has a balance of more than 10,000 yuan every month get into such a fuss over the water and electricity bills of my AA's property, which is only a few hundred yuan? This is illogical. I told my best friend Meng Jia my doubts. Meng Jia is a lawyer and has always been my strongest supporter and military advisor. On the other end of the phone, she pointed out the problem to the point. Wan, believe me, there will be evil when things go wrong. A man with an annual salary of nearly 400,000 yuan will never fall out with his wife because of a few hundred yuan. He is not stingy. He just wants you to think he is poor. Does it make you think he is poor? I repeated this sentence, and something seemed to flash through my mind. Yes, Meng Jia's tone was affirmative. It makes you think that he is already struggling to support his family, so he has to talk to you. In this way, you will not pay attention to where his real money is spent. In other words, he is using his money to do something big that he doesn't want you to know. Meng Jia's words were like a bolt of lightning, splitting the fog in my mind. I began to pay close attention to Shenzei's every move. I found that when he answered the phone recently, he always sneaked into the balcony or corridor. One time I pretended to wake up at night and passed by the study. I heard him talking on the phone in a lowered voice. I vaguely heard words such as transfer, procedures, and complete it as soon as possible. Another time, sister-in-law Shen Yao was happily video chatting with her friends. I passed by the living room with a glass of water and heard her showy voice coming out of the half-open door. Oh, let me tell you, my brother and my mother love me the most. They are ready to give me the best so that I can have the confidence to get married in the future, unlike some people who can't afford to support someone after they get married. When she saw me, her voice stopped suddenly and she closed the door with a guilty conscience. I pretended not to hear anything and walked away calmly. But my heart was already ringing with alarm bells. Give her the best? Give her confidence? Transfer? Formalities? These words, strung together, point in a terrifying direction. On Saturday afternoon, Shenzei and his whole family went out, saying they were going to the mall. I stayed home on the pretext of working overtime. I walked into his study. What was once our shared space is now almost his private domain. I pretended to be cleaning, but my eyes were quickly scanning every corner. Finally, on the bottom shelf, under a pile of old magazines, I saw a real estate brochure. I pulled out. It was a new building from a well-known developer with an excellent location and a high price. On one page, a 3-bedroom apartment of about 90 square meters was circled in red pen. The total price estimate next to it clearly says about 2 million. My heart sank suddenly. I took out my phone and tried to log into the online banking account we used together. This account was used to save our joint savings after we got married. During the first 2 years of marriage, we saved a sum of money every month and planned to buy a bigger house in the future. Later, Shenzei took back the management rights on the grounds that the password is too complicated and it is more convenient for me to manage it uniformly. I entered my password several times, and it always got an error message. Finally, a cold message popped up on the screen. This account has been closed. Account closed? When did it happen? How come I don't know anything? Each independent clue is being spliced and reorganized rapidly in my mind at this moment. AA system, parents-in-law moving in, Shenzei pretending to be poor, mysterious phone calls, sister-in-law showing off, real estate brochures, canceled joint accounts. A complete and vicious conspiracy gradually formed a clear outline in my mind. They are transferring joint property during marriage. They used the money we saved together after our marriage to buy a house for our sister-in-law Shen Yao in full. And that damn AA agreement was just to numb me, to shut my mouth, and to make everything reasonable. Once the house is bought and placed in Shen Yao's name, it becomes her premarital property. Once the formalities are completed, Shenzei will divorce me immediately. At that time, not only will I be drained of the last bit of value in my marriage, but I will also be kicked out of the house with nothing. What a foolish and filial man. What a sister-supporting demon. What a calculating and vicious in-law. A chill mixed with coldness and anger rushed from the soles of my feet to the Tianlin cap. My whole body was shaking, not from fear, but from utter anger. I leaned against the cold bookshelf, closed my eyes, and took a deep breath. Tears rolled in my eyes, but I forced them back. Crying is the most useless thing in the world. I told myself, Lin Wan, calm down. You are a data analyst and your strengths are logic and reason. Now is not the time to be angry. Now is the time to collect evidence and prepare to fight back. I opened my eyes and the last bit of weakness in my eyes disappeared. The era of passive defense is over. Next, it was my turn to take the initiative. A carefully planned anti-kill drama is about to take place. 05. I know very well that with the cunningness of Shenzei and his family, if I question him directly, they will refuse to admit it or even beat him up. I had to get the hard evidence. The kind of ironclad evidence that can give them the final say and leave them powerless to fight back. To do this, I first have to get them to let down their guard. From that day on, I began to plan a game with myself as the bait. I started to show weakness. That night, for the first time, I took the initiative to leave my bedroom. Instead of cooking, I ordered a large table of their favorite takeaways. Under their doubtful gazes, I took the initiative to give Shenzei a piece of his favorite braised pork. Husband, I'm sorry. My voice had just the right amount of choke. During this period, I had a misunderstanding. I shouldn't be so fussy and angry with you. A family should be harmonious and beautiful. I even squeezed out a few tears and lowered my head, looking remorseful. Shenzei and Lu Yafen looked at each other, and they both saw pride in each other's eyes. They thought that my resistance had finally come to an end. They thought that I, a woman with no great abilities, would eventually be unable to leave this family and Shenzei, my long-term meal ticket. Just figured out. Shenzei's tone softened, with a kind of condescending tolerance. There is no such thing as an overnight feud between husband and wife. Lu Yafen also pretended to hold my hand and patted it. Xiaowan, if you think so, Mom will be relieved. From now on, we will still be a family. I lowered my head to hide the flash of coldness in my eyes. The fun has just begun. The next day, I used the excuse that the company's computer system had crashed and many urgent data reports could not be completed, so I needed to borrow Shinzei's computer to work overtime. The one in his study is a gaming laptop with the highest configuration and powerful performance. He was obviously hesitant, and there was a bit of caution in his eyes. I immediately pretended to be aggrieved. What's wrong? Don't you believe me? If you're worried, you can just watch me from the side. The project manager is urging me. If I don't submit the report, my bonus will be gone this month. Seeing my meek and pitiful attitude and thinking of my submission last night, his vigilance finally relaxed. Okay, then you can use it. Just don't touch the things on my table. Thank you, husband. I immediately burst into laughter. I held my mobile hard drive and walked into his study. Under his supervision, I turned on the computer, inserted the hard drive, copied some working files, and then started to work overtime without any distractions. An hour later, I stretched and said, okay, let's do this for today. I may need to borrow it again tomorrow. Before he took back his computer, I used a very fast movement to drag a program disguised as an ordinary document from my hard drive into a hidden folder on his computer. It is a screen recording software that I asked a hacker friend to get. It is installed without trace, runs covertly, and can be viewed remotely. The bait has been put down. For the next few days, I played the role of the perfect, repentant wife. I resumed all the housework and cleaned the garbage dump home until the windows were bright and clean. I cook in different ways every day to please their whole family. I even took the initiative to buy a new dress for Lu Yafan and a set of cosmetics for Shen Yao that she had been talking about for a long time. My obedience made them even more complacent. Lu Yafan started to get more aggressive and pointed at me when I was cooking, this dish is too salty, and that dish needs more oil. She even threw Shen Yao's underwear and a pile of dirty socks into the washing tub and then ordered me, Xiao Wan, wash these. I looked at the basin of smelly clothes and my stomach turned, but I still have a meek smile on my face. Okay, Mom. I smiled, put on my gloves, and cleaned the dirty things one by one. There is no wave in my heart, because I know that the more rampant they are now, the worse they will fall in the future. The time has finally come. On Friday afternoon, I told Shinzei that my mother was not feeling well and that I would go back to my parents' home for 2 days to take care of her. Shinzei and Lu Yafan were eager for me to leave quickly so that they could have complete freedom for their family. Go on, you should. Greet our mother-in-law for us. Lu Yafan said, hypocritically. I carried a simple luggage bag and left home. But I didn't go back to my parents' home. I went to my best friend Meng Jia's apartment. As soon as I entered the door, I couldn't wait to open my laptop and connect to the remote monitoring software. Shinzei's computer screen appeared clearly in front of me. The first day was calm. He's always doing work or playing games. The next day was Saturday night. I saw that Shinzei received a video call. It's Lu Yafan calling. The family probably went out for dinner, and the background was very noisy. I immediately put on my headphones and turned the volume up to maximum. In the video, Lu Yafan's face was very close and she asked proudly, Son, how did things go? Mom, don't worry. Shinzei's voice was also filled with excitement. I just signed the final contract with the agency today. The house book will be available next Monday. Great. Lu Yafan was so excited that her voice rose. The name written in the house book is indeed Yao Yao's name, right? Of course. The full payment will be made in Yao Yao's name. From now on, it will be Yao Yao's premarital property, and no one can take it away. That's good. That's good. Lu Yafan breathed a long sigh of relief, then lowered her voice and said in a contemptuous tone, That Lin Wan, she really thought you were dating her to save money. You are so stupid. It's really ridiculous to see her begging for mercy these days. I saw a disdainful smile on Shinzei's face on screen. Mom, don't worry. She can't afford to make any mistakes. Once I get the property, I will find an opportunity to divorce her. She won't get a penny from this house. She won't get a penny of the money we saved after we got married. In order to prove that what he said was true, Shinzei opened his mobile banking app and pointed the screen at the computer camera so that his mother could see more clearly. Look, this is the transfer record. A total of 1.5 million was transferred to Yayao's account. I had already closed our joint account. She couldn't find anything. On the screen, the 1.5 million transfer record and the word Shen Yao as the payee were like a red-hot iron, burning into my eyes. This is it. That's it now. With trembling hands, I pressed the screen recording button. The ugly faces of the mother and son, their greedy conversations, and the decisive transfer record were all completely recorded. Record screen, take screenshots, and save to encrypted cloud disk. Done in one go. Looking at the computer screen, they were still complacent about their seamless plan. My whole body was cold, and my blood seemed to have frozen. But the corners of my mouth couldn't help but slowly raise an icy arc upward. Shenjia, Lu Yafan, Shen Yao. Your death has come. 06. On Sunday night, I came back from my natal home, as if nothing had happened. As soon as I walked in, I made a big announcement. Dad, Mom, husband, Yao Yao, in order to celebrate our family's reconciliation and to apologize for my previous ignorance, I am going to have a family reconciliation banquet tomorrow night, and let's all get together. Shinzei's family thought that I was completely manipulated by them and successfully educated, so they all readily agreed. Lu Yafan even pretended to put her arm around my shoulders and praised exaggeratedly. Oh, our Xiaowan is so sensible. This makes her look like a good daughter-in-law. Shan Yao also echoed. That's right, sister-in-law. Wouldn't it be better if you had done this earlier? I smiled and accepted their false praise. The next day, I took a day off and went to the most high-end fresh food supermarket early in the morning. Boston lobster, Australian Wagyu beef, French oysters, what I bought are all their favorite and most expensive ingredients. I prepared carefully all day. That night, a luxurious dinner table comparable to a 5-star hotel was presented in front of them. The atmosphere was unprecedentedly harmonious. Shinzei looked at the dishes on the table with a satisfied smile on his face. He probably felt that his wife control skills had improved again. Lu Yafin and Xinyao ate with their mouths full of oil. While eating, they did not forget to give me pointers. Xiaowan, this lobster is well done. You can add more garlic next time. Sister-in-law, this steak is a bit old. Just remember to fry it for 3 minutes next time. I smiled and nodded the whole time. Okay, Mom. Yao Yao, I remember. After 3 rounds of wine, 5 flavors of food, I stood up, picked up the valuable bottle of red wine, and poured wine for everyone, including myself. I picked up the wine glass with a gentle and bright smile on my face. Today, I'm really happy. My eyes slowly scanned each of their faces. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you. Thank you for teaching me a very important truth. Shinzei raised his glass with a smile, touched it with me, and echoed curiously, Oh, what's the point? I looked into his eyes and said clearly, word by word. Fellow relatives must also settle accounts clearly. After I finished speaking, I drank the red wine in my hand. Then, before they could react, I slapped a thick craft paper bag in the middle of the dining table. The sound was not loud, but it was like a thunder, causing the smiles on their faces to freeze instantly. The eyes of Shinzei, Lu Yafin, and Xinyao were all fixed on the document bag. Lin Wan, what do you mean? Shinzei's voice was dry. I didn't answer him. I just stretched out my hand, slowly opened the document bag, and took out the contents one by one. The first one is a complete screen recording of their mother-son video chat, which I have opened on my laptop, with the screen facing them. The second copy was a high-definition screenshot of the 1.5 million bank transfer record. The name Xinyao on it was extremely eye-catching. The third copy is a transcript of their video chat. Every vicious word and every dirty plot is clearly written in black and white. The fourth and final one is a divorce agreement that has been drawn up for a long time. When they saw those things clearly, the faces of Shinzei, Lu Yafin, and Xinyao lost all color in an instant and turned as pale as a piece of paper. The triumphant smile that was there a second ago completely froze on his face, looking extremely funny and terrifying. I sat down leisurely, admiring their expressions as they fell from heaven to hell, and felt an unprecedented pleasure in my heart. I looked at their pale faces and said my verdict slowly and word by word. The joint property of the marriage is 1.5 million, which was transferred illegally. Shinzei, do you want us to meet in court tomorrow so that your company leaders, colleagues, and competitors can all appreciate your project manager's noble character and financial planning ability? I paused, picked up the napkin, and wiped my mouth gracefully. Or do we still want to use this money for a good egg in private? The entire restaurant was deathly silent. Only my voice is like a cold knife, cutting on their fragile nerves. 07. No. Like an enraged beast, Shinzei stood up suddenly and reached out to snatch the document in front of me. I was on guard and leaned back, easily avoiding him. He jumped in the air, staggered, and almost fell down, looking miserable. Lin Wan, you plotted against me. You vicious woman.